This was the sound of two voices becoming one. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
That opening line doesn't just introduce a song, it introduces a feeling. And when we talk about Simon and Garfunkel, that's the real story. It's not just about harmony, it's not just about poetry, it's about why their music feels universally human. They are technically stronger vocal duos, they are more complex lyricists, they are bigger productions, but very few artists capture the quiet spaces inside people the way Simon and Garfunkel do. The music doesn't shout, it reflects. And reflection is powerful. In the 1960s, music was exploding in every direction. Rock was getting louder, culture getting louder, politics getting sharper. Yet, here were two young men singing about loneliness, uncertainty, searching, distant connection, themes that never age. And that's the key. Their songs aren't locked to a decade, they speak to the in between moments of life. The quiet car rides, the sleepless nights, the longer walks home. When Paul Simon wrote and art lifted those words with that angelic clarity, something happened. It didn't feel like performance, it felt like thoughts turned into melody. And thought is something every human shares. That's why decades later, the music doesn't feel old, it feels honest. Now let's talk about harmony. Because technically, yeah, the harmonies were they were diamonds in my ears. They were so beautiful, but beauty alone doesn't create longevity. What makes their voices special was contrast. Paul Simon's tone, grounded, thoughtful, slightly restless. Art Garfunkel's tone, pure, soaring, almost weightless. Together, they sounded like two sides of the same human experience: logic and emotion, earth and air, questions and answers. You see where this is going to? And humans, we live in contrast. That's why the songs resonate globally. No matter your culture, your background, your politics, you understand longing, you understand searching, you understand uncertainty. Now, let's take that incredible song, Bridge Over Troubled Water, for example.
Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay thee
That song, or the song, isn't just technically impressive, it's emotionally available. It offers reassurance without arrogance, comfort without cliche, and comfort is universal. Simon and Garfunkel didn't write about grand mythology, they wrote about people, strangers, lovers, dreamers, wanderers, the small human stories. And when you write about small human stories with sincerity, they travel far. They travel very, very far, actually. That's the difference between a hit and a legacy. Their songs weren't trying to dominate the charts, they were trying to understand the moment. And understanding creates connection, and connection creates timelessness. Another reason their music feels universally human is restraint. They didn't overcrowd their songs, they left spaces, and space allows the listener to step inside the song. When music is too dense, it overwhelms. When music breathes, it invites, and Simon and Garfunkel, they invited you. Listen to Scarborough Fair. Just 5 seconds of that layered acoustic pattern, and it feels ancient and modern at the same time.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair?
That blending of
Parsley.
old and new makes their work feel borderless. You cannot just like put it in a box. It doesn't belong to one country as well. It doesn't belong to one era. It feels like it could exist anywhere because it's built on emotion rather than trend. And emotion crosses borders. Their writing often feels observational rather than declarative. They're not telling you what to think. They're not describing what it feels like to be human in a complicated time. And complicated times are constant. And that's why their music keeps resurfacing. Every generation discovers them and feels like they're speaking directly to them. And that's universality. Let's talk about their vulnerable side. Paul Simon's lyrics often reveal doubt, distance reflection, even discomfort. There's no inflated ego in their songs, no exaggerated bravado, just awareness. And awareness is deeply human. In America, when he sings about counting cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, it's not flashy, it's ordinary. But ordinary is relatable.
Know why? Counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, they've all come.
Most of their life is ordinary. Simon and Garfunkel, they captured that beautifully. They understood that meaning often hides in small details: bus rides, conversations, silence between people. That's why listeners see themselves in the songs, not as fans, but as participants. When music mirrors your internal thoughts, you don't just enjoy it, you keep it. And that's what happens with their catalog. People kept it across decades, across continents, across life stages, because the emotional core didn't age. There's also something timeless about their production choices. Even when the arrangements grew larger, they never lost intimacy. You still felt close to the voices. That closeness matters. When a song feels distant, it's harder to connect. When it feels near, it feels personal. Simon and Garfunkel often sound like they're sitting beside you rather than performing at you. That subtle difference builds trust, and that trust is what allows their music to endure. Another thing they didn't rush was emotion. They allowed it to unfold gradually. They trusted listeners to sit with a song instead of demanding instant gratification. That patience feels rare today, especially in the internet world. But patience creates depth, and depth creates longevity. That's why their music doesn't feel disposable, it feels lived in, like a book you return to every few years and discover something new each time. That's not technical achievement, that's emotional architecture. Culturally, Simon and Garfunkel arrived at a pivotal moment. The world was shifting rapidly in the 1960s. Social changes, political turbulence, generational transformation, and instead of screaming louder than the chaos, they reflected in it quietly. Sometimes quiet commentary travels further than loud protests. Their songs captured uncertainty without collapsing into despair. They captured hope without sounding naive. That balance is difficult. Too much optimism feels unrealistic. Too much darkness feels heavy. And they walked between both lines. That's maturity on their path. And maturity resonates across age groups. That's why your 20-year-old uh, viewer and your 70-year-old viewer can feel the same chill when those harmonies enter, because the songs aren't age specific, they are human specific. And humanity doesn't expire. Now, here's something powerful. Even after their partnership ended, the songs remained intact. The music outlived the narrative. That tells you something. The foundation wasn't hype, it was authenticity. Authenticity is detectable. People sense it immediately. Simon and Garfunkel weren't chasing trends, they weren't calculating virality, they were crafting meaning, and meaning doesn't fade as quickly as fashion. Their catalog continues to be rediscovered because it doesn't rely on production tricks. It relies on emotional truth, and emotional truth is universally understood. You don't need to grow up in New York. You don't need to grow up in the 1960s. You just have to feel or to have felt loneliness or hope or love or searching, and that includes everyone. So when we ask why Simon and Garfunkel still sound universally human today, the answer isn't complicated at all. It's honesty, it's restraint, it's harmony that feels like dialogue rather than display. It's lyrics that observe rather than preach. It's space that allows listeners to breathe. Because that opening line still lands today, not because it's trendy, not because it's technically groundbreaking, but because it speaks to something timeless inside people. And timelessness is the rarest achievement in music. Their songs don't belong to a decade, they belong to the human experience. And as long as people continue to search, to question, to hope, to reflect, Simon and Garfunkel will continue to sound current, not because the world stayed the same, but because human nature did. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Harry. If you did so, I hope you also subscribe and become a part of the family. We also have membership going where you get to decide what topics we talk about next, and also plenty of other perks. Check it out, please. Stay cool and stay good. I'll see you later. Take care. Bye.